Guys, welcome back to another build guide. This time I will cover the Seething Flames Explo Hunter, or as I like to call it, the Trickshot Hunter. So without further ado, let's dive into the build, shall we? Alright guys, before we get into the abilities and talents you want, and also the REs, I want to talk about a little bit about the gear and the stats you want, what weapons you want, what enchants, high risk enchants, and what stats you don't want. So first of all, you want hunter gear, like agility, AP, crit, int. Stats you don't want are like haste or armor penetration, or like spell power gear or int gear. That's something you don't want. For weapons, you want a caster weapon. Ideally, you want the Magus Blade from Groot's Lair, because it has crit and a lot of spell power. Also a little bit of int, and int is equal attack power for hunters because of talent careful aim. I will get into this later. For high risk enchant, you want to go for Dread Precision because this gives you crit chance. There's also an agility enchant like this one I'm using for my cat build, but that won't proc since it's only proccing on melee attacks. You can go for melee range and go hope for one or two melee swings while you're placing your trap, but that's very inconsistent, so I would go for twice the Dread Precision. I don't know if it can double proc, since I only use one Twist Assault on my cat, since in cat you can't proc weapon enchant procs from your offhand weapon, so I only have one, obviously. So yeah, I don't know if it can double proc from the level 60 high risk enchants. The same rank wasn't able to double proc, but yeah, if you test this, let me know, let me down in the comments. Another thing for the other high risk enchants you can get on the chest, I would go for crit, I guess. For the necklace, this is actually for my cat, so this is why there's expertise on the necklace enchanted. I think you want to go for crit as well, or AP if that's possible. My gear is not min-maxed since it's mostly my cat built gear. So yeah, for the belt buckled, you want to go for agility. There's no big difference, and normal enchants you want to go for attack power or agility. I actually prefer agility, but that's what I have for my non-main spec gear. On the boots I got sure-footed, because crit is really important in this build. And for trinkets, I guess the Hourglass is still the best. For the second trinket, maybe the brooch, but there might be better options in Mythc Plus. I don't know. For the bow, I'm using the Sun Fury bow on Ascendant right now with the scope for attack power. You can go for crit, but I prefer attack power. So let's go over the abilities. So for abilities, I've started with charge, with aspect of the orc, with auto shot and brilliance aura. But preferably I would go for actually life tap, since it's a lot better and much more consistent. With no mana regeneration in your group, life tap is way better, since brilliance aura has 1 minute cooldown, and sometimes it's not enough, especially when you get some mobs that drain your mana and you don't have any chance to interrupt this. You might ask why charge on a hunter. My plan is to use traps to proc lock and load. Lock and load is hunter talent that lets you use a cane shot and explosive trap multiple times when it procs. And the plan is to charge in, use explosive trap and disengage out, so you don't have to move slowly in and have a little bit of dead zone where you can't use your shots and move slowly out, so you can smoothly charge in, place a trap and disengage out. That's the plan, or that's the idea behind this. For skill cards I went for invisibility from Mage, since it's my Mythic Plus spec. Here it is. You can buy this for Dark Moon tickets if you don't have it. Then Misdirection. That's actually the reason why I'm playing Hunter in Mythic Plus. Misdirection is really huge in my opinion, because you can safely pull mobs to the boss fight without getting in trouble or dying or messing with the tank. It's quite handy, and in some weeks, like last week, it can help a little bit for the tank to get threat on the mobs. Like, let's say there's damage phase on the convection of elements, and the DPS can already burst from the first second of the pull, so you can help the tank a little bit to get threat. And the fourth skill card I would go for Explosive Trap. I don't have this, sadly, but yeah, I'd say Explosive Trap. I won't go for the Black Arrow on my Mythic Plus spec, since it's only have 15 seconds uptime and 30 seconds downtime. It's cost a talent point, and you can't really reliably use this in AoE situations. Some mobs die earlier, some later, and so yeah, that's not really consistent to proc Locked Load. So I would go for either the Frost Trap or Explosive Trap to proc Locked Load. On this spec I have only Immolation Trap. Please don't pick it, it's absolutely shit, to be honest, but that's what I have right now. For lucky cards I would go for Arcane Power. Since it's a really huge DPS cooldown, then maybe Soul Harvest. The uptime is not that good, since you don't have any dots to increase the duration, but it's still pretty good in my opinion. Then really good abilities are Solar Beam. It's absolutely fantastic, and Mythic Plus really helps the tank and bigger pulls. Other lucky cards I would go for is Capacitator Totem. It's a really great stun on range. You can, this not a totem like any other totem that's right in front of you. You can actually place it like you would place a Flame Strike or something. So you can place it on range. Other skill cards, lucky skill cards, I would go for Silencing Shots. So you have a good interrupt. You can't really use kick or pummel as a hunter, and for Wind Shear, for instance, you need your spell hit cap to actually use this in most perfect form. And yeah, counterspell I wouldn't use that in any situation, since it has high cooldown. So yeah, I would go for the Silencing Shot, although it's cost a talent point, but it's still pretty strong. And the last lucky card I would go for is Berserker Stance, since it's 3% crit for range abilities. So yeah, that's basically the skill cards and starters I want to go for. Other really good utility for Mythic Plus is of course Smoke Bomb, since you can LOS pull difficult mobs and packs. Really helps the group and the tank, especially when you're on Discord or any other voice call, so you cannot coordinate your pulls. and also really good abilities if you gotta pick it up are like Shadow Fury or Shockwave or Dragon's Breath. Although like Shockwave or Dragon's Breath is for melee range, it doesn't really matter since you're already mostly close to your tank for whatever. Sometimes it's pack tactics, sometimes it's for your trap, or just for the smoke bomb for better pulls, so you're mostly not at 30-yard range. So even as a hunter, Dragon's Breath, Shockwave is really good in my opinion. Alright, let's go over the REs. So, as I said before, you don't want spell power gear, but you have noticed I have spell power. So why Absolim, you might ask? Why do I have spell power when I don't want spell power gear? So most abilities scale with your range attack power, but because of Secret of the Fast Riders, your arcane shot and your explosive shot actually scales also with your spell damage. That's the reason why you want spell power and spell power conversion, and that's why the reason why you want caster main hand. You don't want a caster offhand like the 6% damage shit or something like this. You want a stat stick on in the offhand hand, so you can use Rockbiter on main hand and offhand. So let's go over the REs, epic REs. I'm using Fiery Barrage, so my expo shot actually increases also my arcane damage. It says non-periodic damage, but actually explosive shot doesn't count as periodic damage. The ticks, each tick from your explosive shot gives you 1 stack of Fire Barrage, so that's the reason why I'm using this. For the blue is Survival Instincts. I also tried, what's it called? Let me check real quick. Ferocious Inspiration for 15% in total for arcane shot damage. Also tried TNT for extra 9% expo shot damage and trap damage, and also it scales with Seething Flames. But I think in this hybrid alliteration of this build with damage coming from expo shot and arcane shot, I think Survival Instincts is stronger for, like I said, for the hybrid alliteration of the build. And then for the other epic RE, I'm using Arrows of Fire. You get these stacks from using Explosive Shot, and it's around 7% of the damage, I think. Let me check real quick. Here around 8.5%. Sure, this was on 6 targets, but it's also really strong for an epic RE in my opinion. So one time the model shot for the crit damage, then trick shots, of course. In my opinion, let's say it's a little bit strong. It also could be in legendary. Sure, for single target it does pretty much nothing, but it's a really strong RE. Basically, when you use multi-shot and you hit 3 targets or more, your next aim shot or arcane shot ricochets, so it's an AoE and has increased damage. You don't need the aim shot in my opinion, since you have already like 7 seconds on your 7 seconds cooldown on your multi-shot, so you can't use multi-shot, arcane shot, aim shot. Then the aim shot doesn't use the trigger. So you, in my opinion, you don't need it. Then mental quickness and versatile power. Mental quickness further increases your conversion from agility or AP to spell power, and versatile power does basically the same. It gives you spell power when you use exposed weakness. But let's go over the whole talents, shall we? Alright, for talents I'm using 2 point in Aspect Mastery to increase my attack power I get from aspect of the hawk, then in careful aim, using 3 points in this, so 100% of my intellect rate is converted to range AP, and almost every hunter piece has sometimes, if not mostly, intellect on it, so pretty much mandatory in almost all hunter builds. Model shots to increase crit damage, this one to increase the arcane shot damage. You can swap this out, this is not really mandatory. Piercing shots to get a little bit of bleed damage from using your multi-shot. Mass marksman to increase your crit chance and a little bit decrease your mana cost, but that really doesn't matter. Silencing shot as your interrupt. Lone wolf, that's the reason why when you don't have a pet as a hunter you typically use a lone wolf to increase your damage by 6%. Really strong for 2 talent points. Survival instincts to increase crit chance for your arcane shot and explosive shot, preferable with a better trap like frost trap or explosive trap. You want 3 points in lock and load. I only have the shitty immolation trap. Even with 3 points, it's sometimes you have like 1 in 3 traps. You get a lock and load proc even with 3 talent points in. If you get this offered, don't pick it. It's absolute. I don't want to talk about it. TNT to increase damage from your explosive shot and seething flames. Your legendary RE. Then expose weakness, so your criticals can actually increase your attack power by 30% of your agility. Master Tactician to increase your crit chance. On proc chance, Thrill the Hunt gives you a little bit mana back from your abilities and also has a chance to reduce your cooldown from your explosive shot and arcane shot. Sniper training, you get a 12% damage increase, but only when you still stand still for 6 seconds. And then explosive shot. By sniper training and some Mythic Plus or Mythics in general, you can't rely on this because you have to move a lot. And also I see many people doing like this one, wiggle right and left. Don't do this. It causes your sniper training to fall off, so stand still and play it correct. And Fire Mage, 5 points in Ignite, it's quite huge actually. Then 5 points in Firepower to increase your fire damage, and I think 1 point is enough in Empowered Fire, so every time your Ignite ticks you get a little bit of mana back. If you don't have life tap, I would say please pick it up, otherwise you're so fast. Yeah, I think 1 point is enough. I don't have life tap on this spec, so I have 2 points in this. In Rogue, Subtlety, Deadliness for attack power, and in Shaman I use Mental Quickness to convert my attack power to spell power. That's it basically. What about talents. There are a few misconceptions I've seen. Thundering Strike, the capstone, doesn't do anything for you. It's only spell crit, not also ability crit. That's a huge difference. So the capstone doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't affect your explosive shot or your traps or your seething flames, nothing. Also I've seen people picking critical mass. This is something different since it says your fire spells and abilities. So it actually affects your explosive shot since it's a fire ability, not a fire spell. And seen people using burnout for whatever reason. They think it's affecting the crit damage from your explosive shot. But as you can see in the tooltip, it says the spell critical damage, not spell and ability. And that's a huge difference. And for the capstone, it's not worth using 5 talent point for the capstone, since it's like 3 or 4% of something, so don't use this. I think that's everything I have to say about talents and misconceptions. If you have not that great gear, maybe don't use deadliness and use critical mass instead to get more crit chance. You want your explosive shot to get up to 60, like 70% crit ideally, and arcane shot to 60 to 70% as well. Ideally you want to get that's way higher, but then you want to rely on your crit chance you get from Master Tactician talent and your high risk enchant, or like trinkets or something. Yeah. Alright, let's go over the Weakauras I'm using this build. This is pretty simple. First of all, I'm using a bars to track the duration from your explosive shot on the target. Then trick shots, so I really know when I hit 3 targets with my multi-shot, and get the proc to use a cane shot on multiple targets. Then misdirection, so I know, like say the tank is right here, I use misdirection, run around the corner like over there or something, so I know exactly how long I have. So I have enough time to actually use misdirection on the tank. Then sniper training, so it glows when I'm moving, like it's just helping me to keep this up. And the lock and load trigger here, so it glows as long as I have lock and load up. It's pretty simple. The first one here is, let's say, lock and load procs, and you can use explosive shot multiple times. Then, if you see this bar on your screen, wait till it's done. Don't spam the explosive shot, otherwise the dot on the target doesn't refresh. So this is the dot from explosive shot. If you use this multiple times while lock and load is up, the proc will refresh, not extend the duration. So you would lose a lot of damage by refreshing the dot. Yeah, and that's basically it. It's a really fun build. It's not that strong as, let's say, the Molten Int. The Molten Earth, as an int caster, basically is pulling insane numbers right now. I don't think it's really intended to use this RE this way, but it's whatever right now. It's really solid in DPS in my opinion. It's not like a pure shadow last week, where you can basically use it as a tactical nuke and delete whole packs. Well, it's still a pretty strong build, and it's a really fun build in my opinion. On single target it's not really strong, it's like 6 to 7k or maybe something like this, so it's pretty average and on the same level as other AoE focused builds. The main reason I'm using, or why I'm playing the Trickshot Hunter is mostly the misdirection. I think it's, in my opinion, really fun to safely add other mobs and packs to boss fights, so you don't have to fight them later on or something. It really speeds up the process a little bit. And yeah, as always, I will leave here all the links you need down the description. Everything I said about the stat priority, REs, and the build link, I will leave you down in the description as well. And if you really wanted DM me on Discord if you want the Weakauras, but it's really simple, guys, to be honest. Yeah, that's it, I think. I don't know when I will upload another video about Mythc Plus, since I'm playing the Hunter most of the time. I already talked about on a community post about the poison TGM. It's basically a typical TGM but with poisons. It's also really fun and really strong, since you only need one epic, that's poison, and don't need 2 blues or 1 blue like Rockbiter or Wind Fairy and Rockbiter. And yeah, I think that's it, and thanks for watching, guys. As always, if you have enjoyed or learned anything, please leave a like, leave a dislike if you haven't, and best of luck, guys.